If you want to understand why some people develop aggressive cancer while others with similar genetic risks never do, you have to look beyond DNA. The story most people have been told is simple. Cancer is genetic, damage is permanent, and prevention is mostly luck. But biology doesn't actually work that way. Inside your body right now, cells are constantly dividing, repairing, and adapting. And during that process, mistakes inevitably happen. Tiny clusters of abnormal cells can form in anyone in healthy people, in active people, even in people who feel perfectly fine. Here's what most people don't realize. The presence of abnormal or even cancer-like cells isn't the true danger. Your body is designed to detect and destroy them every single day. Your immune system acts like a surveillance network, scanning for irregularities and removing threats before they grow. The real problem begins when something allows those cells to survive long enough to gain resources: oxygen, nutrients, and most importantly, blood supply. For decades, prevention conversations focused almost entirely on avoiding carcinogens. Don't smoke, limit alcohol, stay out of the sun. Those things matter, but they only tell half the story. The other half is what actively strengthens your body's defenses. Nutrition isn't just fuel, it's information. The compounds in certain foods send signals that influence how cells grow, how DNA repairs itself, and whether abnormal cells are eliminated or allowed to expand. After years of watching patients struggle with serious illness while being told diet barely mattered, it became impossible to ignore what research has been quietly showing for decades. Specific foods don't just support general health, they influence the very biological pathways that determine whether cancer cells stay microscopic or become dangerous. This changes how we think about prevention entirely. Instead of seeing cancer as something that appears suddenly and uncontrollably, it becomes a process, one that your daily habits can influence more than most people realize. And understanding that process starts with one overlooked truth. Cancer cells don't become life-threatening until they gain the ability to grow. To understand why cancer becomes life-threatening, you have to understand one critical biological rule. Cells cannot grow beyond a tiny size without a blood supply. This process is called angiogenesis, which simply means the formation of new blood vessels. Your body uses angiogenesis constantly for healing wounds, building muscle after exercise, and restoring tissues. But cancer cells exploit this same system for their own survival. Imagine a microscopic tumor sitting quietly in the body. Without access to oxygen and nutrients delivered through blood vessels, it can't expand. Research has shown that tumors remain frozen at about 1 to 2 millimeters in diameter when they don't have vascular support. That's smaller than the tip of a pencil. At that stage, they can exist for years without causing noticeable harm because they lack the fuel required to grow. Everything changes the moment angiogenesis begins. Cancer cells release signaling proteins that act like chemical messengers, telling nearby blood vessels to grow toward them. One of the most important signals is called vascular endothelial growth factor, or VEGF. Think of VEGF as fertilizer poured onto soil. Once released, it stimulates the rapid formation of new vessels that feed directly into the tumor. As soon as those vessels connect, oxygen and nutrients begin flowing in continuously. This is when tumor growth shifts from slow to explosive. Studies using advanced imaging have documented how dramatically growth accelerates after vascularization occurs. A tumor that once remained dormant can expand thousands of times in size within weeks once blood vessels supply it. That transformation is what turns microscopic abnormalities into clinically detectable disease. Without angiogenesis, cancer struggles to progress. With it, growth becomes aggressive. This is why modern cancer treatments often target blood vessel formation. Pharmaceutical companies have invested billions developing drugs known as angiogenesis inhibitors. These medications aim to block VEGF signaling and cut off the tumor's nutrient supply. When successful, tumors essentially starve. However, because drugs affect blood vessel formation throughout the entire body, side effects can occur. Blood vessels are necessary for normal healing and circulation, so interfering with them broadly can create complications. Here's where nutrition introduces a fascinating dimension. Researchers began testing plant compounds using the same laboratory methods designed for drug development. Instead of synthetic chemicals, they examined naturally occurring molecules found in everyday foods. What they discovered was surprising. Certain food compounds could interfere with angiogenesis, signaling pathways in measurable ways. Rather than shutting down blood vessel growth completely, these compounds help maintain balance, preventing excessive vessel formation while supporting normal circulation. This doesn't mean food replaces medical treatment, but it does mean diet influences whether tumors easily access the resources they need. When angiogenesis is tightly controlled, abnormal cells remain contained. When it's overstimulated, growth accelerates. Understanding this mechanism changes prevention from something passive into something active. Instead of waiting for disease to appear, you begin supporting the systems that keep abnormal growth restrained. And that leads directly to the next question. Which foods contain compounds capable of influencing angiogenesis in meaningful ways? Once scientists understood how critical angiogenesis is to tumor growth, the obvious next step was finding ways to control it. Pharmaceutical research focused heavily on developing compounds that could block VEGF signaling and prevent new blood vessels from forming. But in the process of testing these compounds, researchers began asking a different question. What if naturally occurring substances in food could influence the same pathways? To answer that, scientists used laboratory assays designed to measure blood vessel growth directly. These tests allow researchers to observe how quickly vascular cells multiply when exposed to different compounds. When plant extracts were introduced into these systems, the results were surprising. Certain foods showed measurable anti-angiogenic activity, meaning they slowed or inhibited the signals that tumors use to attract blood supply. One of the most striking discoveries involved green tea. The polyphenols in green tea, especially epigallocatechin gallate, or EGCG, demonstrated a strong ability to interfere with VEGF signaling. In some experimental conditions, the effect was comparable to early pharmaceutical compounds being developed at the time. If researchers hadn't known the compound came from a beverage consumed for centuries, it might have been treated like a breakthrough drug candidate. And green tea isn't alone. When researchers expanded testing, they found that more than 100 foods contain compounds capable of influencing angiogenesis to some degree. These include berries, leafy vegetables, soy foods, tomatoes, and many others commonly found in everyday diets. The key difference is that food compounds don't shut the system down aggressively. Instead, they help regulate it, keeping blood vessel growth within a healthy range rather than allowing uncontrolled expansion. This gentle but consistent regulation may be exactly what prevention requires. Instead of dramatic intervention after disease develops, daily nutrition quietly influences the environment where abnormal cells either remain contained or begin to grow. While controlling blood vessel growth is one major defense against cancer, another happens at an even deeper level inside your DNA. Every day, your DNA is exposed to damage. Sunlight, environmental toxins, metabolic byproducts, and even normal cellular activity create small breaks or errors in genetic material. This is unavoidable. What determines long-term risk isn't whether damage occurs, but how effectively your body repairs it. Your cells come equipped with intricate repair systems that function like maintenance crews. They constantly scan DNA strands for breaks and mismatches, correcting them before they become permanent mutations. But these repair processes depend heavily on nutritional support. Without the right nutrients, repair slows down, allowing damage to accumulate over time. One of the most compelling examples of food-driven DNA protection comes from research on kiwifruit. In controlled studies, participants consumed 1 to 3 kiwis daily over several weeks, while scientists measured DNA strand damage using a technique known as the comet assay. Under a microscope, damaged DNA appears like a comet with a trailing tail. The longer the tail, the more damage present. The results were striking. Even 1 kiwi per day significantly reduced markers of DNA damage. Higher intake didn't just prevent new damage, it enhanced the body's ability to repair existing DNA breaks. This effect is largely driven by vitamin C, which neutralizes free radicals before they can injure DNA. But kiwi also contains polyphenols, flavonoids, and carotenoids that amplify each other's protective effects. This highlights an important principle. Whole foods work differently than isolated supplements. Vitamin C tablets provide one compound. Whole foods deliver complex combinations that interact in ways science is still uncovering. Instead of acting like a single tool, they function like a complete repair kit, supporting multiple protective pathways simultaneously. DNA repair isn't something that happens once, it's ongoing. And nutrition quietly determines how well that repair system performs day after day. Even with DNA damage occurring and abnormal cells forming, your body has another powerful layer of protection, your immune system. Long before a tumor becomes detectable, specialized immune cells are constantly scanning for irregular behavior. Their job is simple but critical. Identify abnormal cells and eliminate them before they multiply. Two of the most important players in this process are natural killer cells and T cells. Natural killer cells act as rapid responders, attacking cells that display unusual surface markers. T cells provide a more targeted response, recognizing specific threats and coordinating a broader immune attack. Together, they function like an internal security force designed to keep abnormal growth under control. What's remarkable is how strongly nutrition can influence their activity. Studies examining diets rich in berries have shown measurable increases in immune performance. Blueberries, in particular, contain anthocyanins, the pigments responsible for their deep blue color, which appear to enhance immune signaling. In controlled observations, individuals consuming consistent amounts of blueberries showed increased circulation of T cells and stronger natural killer cell activity. At the same time, these compounds help reduce chronic inflammation. That balance is essential. Chronic inflammation can promote cancer growth, but a responsive immune system suppresses it. Anthocyanins help shift the body toward protective inflammation, the kind that targets harmful cells without damaging healthy tissue. This dual effect is what makes nutrition so unique. It doesn't simply stimulate immunity indiscriminately. Instead, it helps regulate immune intelligence, improving how effectively your body distinguishes between normal cells and dangerous ones. In recent years, one of the most surprising discoveries in cancer research hasn't come from genetics or pharmaceuticals, it has come from the gut. Inside your digestive system live trillions of bacteria collectively known as the microbiome. For a long time, these microbes were thought to mainly influence digestion, but we now understand they play a central role in regulating immunity, inflammation, and even how effectively the body fights cancer. Among these microbes, one species has gained particular attention, Akkermansia muciniphila. This bacterium appears to act like a trainer for the immune system, helping it respond more effectively when abnormal cells appear. Researchers studying cancer patients undergoing immunotherapy noticed something striking. Some patients responded dramatically to treatment, while others showed little to no benefit. When scientists analyzed gut bacteria, the strongest predictor of success wasn't age, tumor size, or even genetics, it was the presence of Akkermansia. Patients with higher levels of this bacterium had significantly better immune responses. Their bodies were more capable of recognizing and attacking cancer cells when therapy stimulated immune activity. Without sufficient levels, the same treatment produced weaker outcomes. What influences Akkermansia levels most strongly is diet. Certain foods provide compounds that feed beneficial bacteria, allowing them to thrive and communicate effectively with immune cells. This connection creates a feedback loop. Better nutrition supports healthier microbes, and healthier microbes improve immune surveillance. This changes how we think about prevention. Cancer defense isn't just about attacking abnormal cells directly. It's about shaping the environment where immune responses occur. Your microbiome acts like a command center, influencing how quickly and accurately immune cells react. Nutrition doesn't just feed your body, it feeds the microscopic partners that help defend it, quietly strengthening protection in ways that weren't fully understood even a decade ago. Now that you understand the mechanisms angiogenesis control, DNA repair, immune activation, and microbiome balance, the natural question becomes practical. What should you actually eat, and how much does it take to influence these systems in a meaningful way? Research consistently points to a small group of foods that repeatedly show measurable effects across multiple pathways. First is kiwifruit. Consuming 1 to 3 kiwis daily provides high concentrations of vitamin C, along with polyphenols that support DNA repair and reduce oxidative damage. Even one per day contributes protection, while higher intake appears to enhance repair capacity. Second is green tea. About 3 cups daily deliver epigallocatechin gallate, or EGCG, a compound strongly associated with inhibiting abnormal blood vessel formation. Proper brewing matters because water that's too hot can degrade these delicate compounds. Third is blueberries. Roughly 1 cup per day supplies anthocyanins that enhance immune cell activity while reducing harmful inflammation. This combination helps the body recognize and eliminate abnormal cells more efficiently. Fourth is soy foods such as tofu, tempeh, edamame, or unsweetened soy milk. Around 2 servings per week provide genistein, a compound linked to reduced angiogenesis signaling and balanced hormone activity. Fifth is broccoli sprouts. Just a quarter cup 3 to 4 times weekly delivers sulforaphane in concentrations far higher than mature broccoli, activating detoxification enzymes and supporting cellular defense. Sixth is cooked tomatoes. Heating tomatoes increases lycopene absorption, and about 3 servings weekly has been associated with protective cellular effects. Seventh is pomegranate. Around 4 ounces of pure juice daily, or half the fruit, supplies compounds that support beneficial gut bacteria linked to stronger immune responses. Each of these foods works through different mechanisms. Together, they create overlapping layers of protection that reinforce the body's natural defenses rather than relying on a single pathway alone. One detail that often gets overlooked is that how you prepare food can dramatically influence how much benefit your body actually receives. The compounds responsible for protective effects don't just depend on what you eat. They depend on how those foods are handled, cooked, and combined. Take tomatoes as an example. Raw tomatoes contain lycopene, but much of it remains trapped within the plant's cell walls. When tomatoes are cooked, heat breaks those walls down and converts lycopene into a form your body absorbs far more efficiently. Pairing cooked tomatoes with healthy fats like olive oil increases absorption even further because lycopene is fat-soluble. Broccoli offers another example. Light steaming for about 3 to 4 minutes increases the availability of sulforaphane by activating enzymes that release it. Boiling, however, can destroy much of this compound by leaching it into water. Small preparation choices create large nutritional differences. Green tea also depends on preparation. Water that's too hot can degrade beneficial catechins like EGCG. Using water just below boiling and steeping for several minutes preserves more active compounds. Adding lemon juice enhances absorption because vitamin C stabilizes catechins in the digestive system. Even kiwifruit benefits from preparation awareness. Eating the skin when properly washed adds additional fiber and polyphenols that support gut bacteria. Many people discard it without realizing how much nutrition they lose. These details aren't about perfection, they're about efficiency. When you prepare foods in ways that preserve or enhance active compounds, you get more benefit from the same serving size. Over time, those small advantages accumulate, strengthening the biological systems that protect your cells every day. One of the most overlooked principles in nutrition science is synergy, the idea that foods don't work in isolation. The compounds inside whole foods interact with each other in ways that amplify their effects. Instead of acting like single tools, they function more like coordinated systems supporting the same biological goal. For example, vitamin C enhances the absorption and stability of many plant compounds. Adding lemon juice to green tea can significantly increase the availability of catechins like EGCG because vitamin C protects them from breakdown during digestion. That means the same cup of tea becomes more biologically active simply by combining it with another natural ingredient. Healthy fats play a similar role. Lycopene from cooked tomatoes is absorbed far more efficiently when consumed with olive oil or other healthy fats because it dissolves in fat. Without fat, much of it passes through the digestive system unused. With fat, it becomes available to support antioxidant defenses and cellular protection. Fiber-rich foods also work together. Prebiotic fibers in kiwi, berries, and vegetables feed beneficial gut bacteria that transform plant compounds into more active forms. This creates a feedback loop where better gut health improves how nutrients are processed and utilized. This synergy explains why whole dietary patterns consistently outperform isolated supplements. Supplements deliver a single compound. Whole foods deliver hundreds that interact simultaneously across multiple pathways: angiogenesis regulation, immune modulation, DNA repair, and inflammation control. Consistency matters more than intensity. Small daily combinations create continuous signaling to your body's defense systems. Instead of occasional large doses, steady exposure allows protective pathways to remain active. Over time, that steady input builds resilience not through extremes, but through repetition. Most people focus on what they eat, but timing also influences how effectively nutrients support your body's protective systems. Your biology follows daily rhythms controlled by circadian cycles. Hormones shift, immune activity fluctuates, and cellular repair processes become more active at certain times of day. When nutrition aligns with these rhythms, its impact becomes stronger. DNA repair, for example, is most active while you sleep. During deep sleep, your body shifts resources away from digestion and toward maintenance. Cells repair damage, immune surveillance intensifies, and metabolic cleanup accelerates. That means nutrients needed for repair, antioxidants, polyphenols, vitamins, should already be circulating before sleep begins. Eating foods like kiwi or berries earlier in the day gives your body time to absorb and distribute these compounds so they're available when repair peaks overnight. Anti-angiogenic compounds also benefit from consistent exposure rather than single large doses. Drinking green tea in the afternoon or early evening helps maintain steady levels of catechins in circulation without overstimulating digestion late at night. The goal isn't precision down to the minute, it's alignment with natural biological patterns. Heavy meals close to bedtime can interfere with this process. Active digestion requires blood flow and metabolic energy that would otherwise support cellular repair. When digestion dominates, repair slows. Leaving a few hours between your last meal and sleep allows your body to shift into maintenance mode more effectively. Timing doesn't replace healthy choices, but it enhances them. Think of it as working with your biology instead of against it. When nutrients arrive at the times your body is most prepared to use them, their protective effects become more efficient and consistent. One of the most common mistakes people make when trying to improve their health is believing they have to be perfect. They assume that unless every meal is flawless, nothing counts. That mindset leads to frustration and, eventually, giving up entirely. Biology doesn't work on perfection, it works on patterns. Your body responds to what you do consistently, not occasionally. Another mistake is relying too heavily on supplements while ignoring whole foods. Supplements can provide isolated compounds, and in some cases they're useful. But whole foods deliver complex combinations of nutrients that interact in ways supplements can't replicate. A tomato doesn't just provide lycopene, it contains vitamin C, potassium, fiber, and dozens of plant compounds working together. That synergy is what strengthens protective systems over time. Preparation is often overlooked as well. People eat beneficial foods but unknowingly reduce their effectiveness by boiling vegetables too long or using preparation methods that degrade sensitive compounds. Small adjustments like lightly steaming broccoli or brewing green tea properly can significantly change how much benefit your body receives. There's also a tendency to focus entirely on removing harmful foods instead of adding protective ones. Restriction feels urgent but rarely lasts. Addition is sustainable. When you consistently include foods that support immune function, DNA repair, and microbiome balance, they gradually crowd out less beneficial choices without forcing extreme discipline. Finally, many people expect immediate results, but protective pathways build gradually. The benefits come from repeated signals to your biology, not overnight transformation. Health protection behaves more like compound interest than a quick fix. Small daily inputs accumulate until they create meaningful change. One of the most effective shifts people can make isn't focusing on what to eliminate, it's focusing on what to add. When health advice centers entirely on restriction, it creates resistance. People feel deprived, overwhelmed, and eventually revert to old habits. But when the focus shifts toward adding protective foods, the process becomes sustainable. Your body responds positively when beneficial nutrients are introduced consistently. Adding blueberries to breakfast, drinking green tea in the afternoon, or including cooked tomatoes in meals doesn't feel restrictive. Instead, it builds a foundation. Over time, these additions begin influencing taste preferences, energy levels, and even cravings. Many people notice they naturally want more foods that make them feel better. This additive approach also reduces decision fatigue. Instead of constantly asking what you must avoid, you establish a baseline of foods that support immune balance, DNA repair, and vascular regulation. Once those are in place, everything else becomes less critical. Occasional indulgences don't erase consistent support. There's also a psychological advantage. Addition creates momentum. Each small step reinforces the next. A smoothie with berries leads to more fruit intake. Green tea replaces sugary drinks. Broccoli becomes a regular side dish. These aren't dramatic lifestyle overhauls, they're quiet upgrades. Sustainable health isn't built on extreme discipline. It's built on repetition. The body adapts to repeated exposure, strengthening protective pathways gradually. Instead of trying to overhaul everything at once, adding one supportive habit at a time allows change to stick. Over months and years, these additions compound. What begins as a small change becomes a normal routine, and routines are what shape long-term health outcomes. One of the most important ideas to understand is that your body is not passive in the face of disease. It isn't waiting helplessly for something to go wrong. Right now, your immune system is scanning for abnormal cells, your DNA repair systems are correcting daily damage, your body is regulating blood vessel growth to keep tissues balanced. These protective systems already exist, they don't need to be created, only supported. What nutrition does is provide the raw materials that allow those systems to function at their best. When protective compounds are consistently present, immune cells respond faster, DNA repair becomes more efficient, and abnormal growth is less likely to gain momentum. This isn't about a single food or a perfect diet. It's about repeated signals that tell your biology to stay in defense mode. Cancer prevention isn't one dramatic decision. It's a long sequence of small ones. A cup of blueberries today, green tea tomorrow, adding tomatoes to dinner, choosing foods that feed beneficial gut bacteria. None of these actions feel extreme, but together they shape the environment inside your body. What makes this empowering is that it shifts focus from fear to influence. Instead of seeing disease as random or inevitable, you begin to see how daily choices reinforce protective pathways. Consistency becomes more important than intensity. Progress becomes more important than perfection. You can't control everything about health. Genetics, environment, and aging all play roles, but you can influence how strongly your natural defenses operate. And when those defenses are supported day after day, they create resilience that compounds over time. Your body is designed to protect you. Nutrition simply helps it do that job more effectively.